Nothing lasts forever, and we both know hearts can change. But it's hard to hold a candle in that cold November rain. Welcome to the Daily Grind. That was good, man. I could be Axl Rose. Get on screen. Welcome to the Daily Grind. I'm your host, the Cat Maker, and I got Daniel Greer of the Grizz 901 live post game show, amongst other things. You're all over the place, brother. How are you doing?
I'm good. Busy would be an understatement. Honestly, like the Driving the Line, which is our the betting show that I'm part of, is busy. Coach, who is the host, Jonathan Coachman, formerly of WWE, formerly of ESPN and CBS and all those other places. Well, he is taking a little tripperooski with his kiddo, and so I'm going to be hosting a lot of the shows, especially this weekend, and so as well as the shows I'm already on, and so. Listen, we're figuring it out, but then the post games are here, having a absolute blast. Other than Monday night, besides that, everything else has been amazing.
Yeah, every show other than like Monday night was kind of like and Nate, not fun. But last night was awesome. I hopped in for a little bit. For those of you who didn't watch the game, the Grizzlies won 122-99. They looked like the Grizzlies team that I think a lot of us have been clamoring to see so far this season. The minutes were for the job. I mean, Ja didn't play more than 30, but he played right at 30. We had guys play more than 30 minutes last night, which I think has been, I know on your show, I know on our show, no one here, especially you and I, are trying to be like fire Taylor Jenkins. I don't think that's at all what's happening.
Right.
Because one, you and I are always like, who else if you fire? I mean, that's just silly. But it does seem like all the stuff that people had been complaining about early in the season, he at least made efforts to change last night. I don't know if it was him or if it was the guy. Yeah, no.
Nothing changed. Honestly, like look at the lineups, look at the only thing that changed is you did not lose Marcus Smart and you did not lose Desmond Bane mid-game and him have to figure out, okay, so we're already into these rotations. Let me figure out how to make that shift. Like that was the issue, is the in-game shifting. Like, all right, so we're normally going to go Ja, the first, 6 minutes out to into the next, 3, let him finish the quarter and then let him sit. They have these already done, but now they were already out. So they staggered completely where Ja or Jaren were on the court. And most of that was the last game as well. They were on the court most of the time, except for that fourth quarter, which has been his biggest issue, is the fourth quarter. Why he does what he does is beyond me. But he did do a better effort. But all in all, Ja played 29 minutes. People can be mad about the minutes. He did not play much in the fourth quarter because they were blowing him out. That's why he would have played easily over 30 minutes.
No doubt. And that's, I do like that point, because it's like, did he really change anything? If you look, the same people play. It was the same people that have been playing. 10 of the 12 guys that have been playing in the rotations he's been using, except the 2 that were hurt. And it's would you say that the team looks better when it's only? Last night was a 9-man rotation, all things considered. That's what I think you like that. I think that's just better basketball when you run with 9, maybe 10. I like 9. I just think that, even though it was out of necessity because guys were hurt, I hope TJ saw what he can do with the shortened rotation and just see the success he can have. But granted, Milwaukee played bad. I guess that we should also say that. I mean, what was Dame? Dame's
horrible.
Horrible, man. Like awful. 4 points, 1 of 12, 0 of 6 from 3. That's a Marcus Smart stat line right there. Like, sorry. I like your feelings on Marcus Smart specifically.
Yeah. So Dame looks disinterested. I'm not exactly sure who put it in our in the chat last night during the post game. He looks like he just doesn't want to be there.
No.
And I think that there's real life effects to what he's going through. He left Portland where he loved being in Portland, like the city, the vibes. That team was his.
Yeah.
Now he's have expectations. He probably doesn't love the coaches, probably doesn't love being cold, probably doesn't love Milwaukee. Like, in all honesty, like it's probably not his vibe either. Giannis is there. It's Giannis's team. It's understood. Dame is amazing. Dame's lost his step. I think everybody can see that. It's how you age. How do you age as a human? But honestly, as a basketball player, as an athlete, how do you age? I don't think he's aging good. I think he can't figure out where he fits and where he can develop himself to be the best version of himself. And that's very similar to what we're seeing here with Marcus Smart. How can you be the best version of yourself? Is it shooting more or is it shooting less and being a lockdown defender and finding your role? Marcus Smart will do that. In my opinion, I think he will do that. I just hate how he has presented himself up to this day. He's obviously hurt. He's out. My opinion with him was not his defense. It wasn't even his shooting. I actually liked that he shot, even though he was like 0 for 10 until his like last shot when he's 0 for 11. I like that he had the huevos.
The huevos.
Take that shot because honestly, there's a lot of people that would turn that down. It's an open shot. He's an NBA player. Take the shot.
Yes.
But I just need him to show up to camp a little bit better shape, be a vet. And that's what this team needs. They need his veteran leadership more than his shooting.
I completely agree. Like, don't be, when you are coming to this team to be the vet leader with a guy with so many playoff games under his belt, like that's what you were brought here to serve that kind of adult in the room type
100%.
kind of role. 100%. Like, you can't be, if that's your role, you can't be showing up overweight. You know, like it's just plain and simple. Like, I heard Nate saying, yeah, you had a kid, you get a little pudgy, but you are paid exorbitant amounts of money to make that go away.
Well, you can do that. I can do that. Anybody can do that. That's probably watching or listening to this show.
Yeah.
If you're a multi-millionaire athlete, your job, your body is your temple. Your body has to be at a certain level. I'm not trying to shame the guy because of whatever. It's not even his body. It's honestly, it's the mindset. Mm-hmm. If you allow yourself to do that, how can you hold other people accountable for other things? Because you know what they're going to say is, bro, you came to camp out of shape. Like, who are you trying to point fingers at? That's the issue. Is if you have somebody that can throw stones back at you, dude, you're living in a glass house, and that's always rough.
Yeah, and you got to lead by example too. Like, right. If you're going to project leadership, you got to act. You got to have the right mindset. You got to act like it. And Ja Morant had the right mindset last night. I mean, he was. There's all this discourse about like you got. I mean, context matters about like hearing what he's saying about what people are saying on Twitter. People calling him soft on Twitter, which I'm with Nate. I don't know if there's a lot going on the Twitter X-verse that's mostly negative that he seems to read a lot of. I want, if he's going to play like that, tuned in, that he was attacking the hell out of everybody last night. And that's the difference. And I want, if that's the job that we get in, night out, or even not even night in, night out, on the nights where he is, even if he brings that mentality on nights where he's physically not 100%, I don't care.
Right.
You know, like I need him to, it was more than just hyper focused. It was like hyper focused last night. I mean, he was flirting with the triple double by the halfway through the second quarter. Yeah. And he would have gotten it if it wasn't a blowout. I think, I mean, like it would have been bigger. Like you said earlier, they pulled him because it was a 30-point blowout, but
he still he still gets a triple double with, I don't even remember his points, but 26, 10 and 14. That was the biggest thing, but also he had 29 minutes. He's a plus 29. The difference of Ja is what we see is he was able to influence the game in every aspect. Like whatever he wanted to do, he was able to do. He finally hit a 3-pointer. He hit 2 of 5, which was big just overall. But if you look at Ja, the best version of Ja is when he is in control. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you saw that. The ball was in his hands more often. And I don't know if that is to the 9-man rotation where you have less guys that are in and out. I think he's on the court more, which is obviously the minutes thing. I think that's understood. But when you have 9 guys, you have less of lineup changes. There's less of, I guess, noise, like because you have 9 guys to fit. So usually you're going to be playing with somebody who you were just on the court with or you're more familiar with, compared to adding 2 more options in that. That's math, okay? The math ain't math then when we do 11. I like the 9. I'm okay with 10. I know it's just one extra person, but you're talking about if everybody's playing 10+ minutes, at that point, you're talking about, interchanging different lineups, and sometimes they don't mesh. And so I don't like all those, the different lineups that we're getting.
The more people you add, it's going to be harder to get in a groove, because
100%.
that's just, like you said, math. You're adding more people into the equation. It's going to be a little bit harder. The one more thing I want to talk about last night's game is Zach Edey, because I know on the post game show on Wednesday, you were talking about how you would like to see him in certain games come off the bench, and I believe yesterday morning you were talking about how you thought last night was a good matchup for him specifically.
100%.
Yeah, and I think last night was probably the best game that we've seen from him. Yeah, I think
What I
you're
said.
right.
That was
Yep.
my prediction. My prediction was this would be the best matchup. And it's simple as going back to your off the bench thing. I think you can use him interchangeably, such as if we want to go small, okay, because there's a smaller guy, instead of just kind of saying, hey, we're going to run it through our type of offense, we're going to run it through Zach Edey. That's what we're going to do. No, like I think he struggles with smaller guys because he doesn't know where they are. It's like the big jolly green giant. You're like, where is? I can't feel him. Like honestly, he needs to feel like the defender, find out where he is, and so a bigger guy, he's going to be better. Brook Lopez, he was better than him, and I thought he would have a good game, and he did. So looks like I'm not a complete dummy after all.
No, I wouldn't say so. Now I transition into I want to stay on Edey. They play the 76ers this weekend on Saturday. And it's in Philadelphia. How do you see that matchup from an Edey standpoint? Like, do you I mean, it's Joel, and is Joel going to play? I guess I don't even know.
So that's the rumor, is that Joel Embiid is expected to come back. That's to be his first game.
Okay.
Take that what you will. I don't know. I don't know what direction you go with that, but that is a potential. Now, if he doesn't play, I still like it. But you got to think Joel Embiid. I think he'll give him fits. The issue is Joel Embiid does have a quick first dribble. That's where we're going to struggle, is that quick first dribble. But if he can say, hey, I'm going to play up in you and take away that three-pointer and make you dribble drive, I think that's okay. The unfortunate part of it is Edey doesn't play up. So there's going to be a lot of 18-foot jump shots from Joel Embiid, and at that point, he could just murder us.
Yes. I was about to say the Grizzlies get more rest going into the night, but it's just one day. When does this 6 game and 9 day streak?
It's over.
It's over. But they still got to play. It's just it was a pretty brutal first week 2. I mean, that's a lot of games they got to handle. With this game on Saturday, have you heard or do you know anything about? I know Luke Kennard is ramped up to, I think, 3-on-3. He's going to be on 5-on-5. Do you think that I don't expect to see him this weekend?
I don't think we see him on this road trip. This road trip's, I believe it's only 2 days, starting in the Grizzlies take on the 76ers, the first game. Next game is at Brooklyn, and then we come home Wednesday, 11-6. So against the Lakers. I think if we see him at all, I think we see him the Lakers. I don't think we see him on the road at Brooklyn or Philadelphia, just overall. But honestly, I won't say it doesn't matter. I think he's the best version of himself when this team has its stars, because you have your best players. I don't know if we'll see the best version of himself until we see a Bane back, or even maybe a Marcus Smart, a better defender, or maybe a Vince or somebody like that. He needs more help. And adding him into some of these lineups, he's not athlete enough to really affect the game. And that's why he has to have good players around him to be the best version of himself. And at that point, I don't know if it's right now. But getting back a good shooter is never a bad thing.
Not at all. But I mean, but you're absolutely right. Like, if Bane is going to be out and he's going to be asked to, step in and take more of those shots. We have seen 2 years now of that not being his bread and butter. Correct. He's much better when deployed off that bench, and he's got a maniac like Vince next to him. He's a complimentary role player to the highest extent of that word, complimentary.
Yep.
I don't think that I see the injury report staying the same.
Dude,
Like
did you just see Paolo Banchero go out
with an
indefinitely?
oblique.
With an oblique. I
Dude.
want people to understand the oblique is a real thing. I don't know. Have you ever had an oblique injury?
No, I heard you guys talking about it though, and I was just like, "Oh my god, it sounds awful."
Dude, it feels like it's inside you, and you're just like, when I move, it hurts, and I would assume Rusty could speak on it a little bit better because he knows more of the body than I do. I know I've had one, and it was just like I can't even get in my car. Like it was just it was just like, oh my god, I can't. Something doesn't feel right, and that's if you saw Bane, he did that. He just like did the whole shoulders back. You're just like, oh my god, what is that? Like, is there something in there? But yeah, as Rusty was saying, he treated people a couple of times over the years. It's brutal. It is. And it's not like you can't do something with it. It just crumbles you in a sense. And so at that point, it's tough. So I'm glad well, I won't say I'm glad. I hope that it's not just a thing that is going to linger. I think he's out a couple of weeks, in my opinion. I don't know.
Man, I got that Paolo injury update, and that was almost, getting that worried me more than a Grizzlies PR update because I was like, crap, reevaluating 4 to 6 weeks. Like that's
a reevaluation.
That's a reevaluation. That's not even back. And if that's
Right.
us, that means we're not seeing him until April.
Sheesh.
You know, like I don't expect the only person that, I mean, Jitty might come off of it, but I don't know. I expected Jitty to get the start last night over Jalen if he was healthy, but just because I think that Taylor likes to throw Jitty in as spot starts. Jalen played pretty good in his first start. I mean, played what it's just, I think Verno said it and maybe at the halftime show last night. It's just great to see him not shrink at the moment, you know, because this is a guy who, if he plays like that, he's going to get significant. I mean, he's already getting significant minutes under TJ, but two more things I want to talk about before we take a break. Go ahead.
I was going to say the Jalen Wells thing is it's like if he could just not, and I hate saying this, piss his pants. Like when he's out there, I want to say urinate down your leg, something. I was just like, all right, can I be more friendly? It's the morning.
Urinate down your leg.
If he can just like catch the ball and when he's under pressure, just not just completely lose it and just throw up a pass and end up, you know, just like he did the other day. He didn't understand after a made basket, you have the whole baseline. You can get the ball into Ja, and he just tried to throw it over Zaire. Those are the moments like he just can't. He just I don't know, just
breathe,
just piss himself and just say, all right, I just If he can learn to do that, which he's going to take time, if he can learn to do that, he'll be okay. So it's those pressure moments. If he can figure that out, he'll be likened to the coach, staff, or whoever, and also the players. They know that I can trust him. That when times get tough, he's not going to crumble. And so that's the biggest thing. And he showed that last night. He got double teamed a couple of times, fought through it, got the right pass out. And at that point, you're moving.
I mean, yeah. Well, if you see progress is progress, and that was we're seeing it from him, and that's what you need. Two more things I want to touch on. Let's talk about Jake.
Baby. Oh, sorry.
I want to talk about Jake LaRavia because he, for some reason, he has become the most talked about Grizzly other than John Moran. It seems like online, and it's so funny because everybody's just screaming, and it's like no one's saying he's a bad player. Calm down. We just don't want him playing 20+ minutes right now. Like it's just. It's absurd. I hate that this is where we're talking. That's the focus of our attention 6 games in.
Yeah.
But the deadline for his extension was last night to pick up his option. Excuse me, not an extension. And I also think DeMichael Cole released something last night that said he is in the plans of the future of this team. I mean,
I'd say that too.
I mean, yeah, shoot, I could say that about. I mean, shoot, Paolo Banchero might be in the plans of this team. Like that's everybody says that. Right. I still am of the mindset that he can keep playing this well because he's only increasing his trade value.
100%.
Or he's actually getting better and is going to be a cheaper 10th, 11th man off the bench like Jitty has been. Like I don't want to. I just want to say that there is nothing wrong with what we're seeing out of Jake LaRavia right now. Nothing.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I want to lean on. I'm trying to look up and make sure that if he is after this season. So obviously the extension, deadline has passed. The extension was a $5.1 million extension, right? That was the biggest thing. But I want to look and see if he is a restricted free agent. So he's an unrestricted free agent. So that was the biggest thing, is the unrestricted. So he can go wherever he wants, right?
Wherever he wants.
If you lose a guy like that, I don't think that you look up in 5 years and go, man, he is murdering us. Like, that is a guy that got away. I think he'll be a fine player. I think he's actually has a chance now to be a rotational player in about 3 or 4 years, maybe.
Yeah.
But you can't pay. What would you, if you had to give a number on what number Jake is in the pecking order on this team, 1 through 15, what number would you give him?
I would give him, if he would not be higher.
Everybody's healthy.
Not higher than 12, 13.
That's the issue, is
maybe 14.
Can you pay your guy, let's say he's 11 to 15. Well, he's not 15, 11 to 14. I think he's okay. He is in that third unit. Maybe he gets some run when people are unhealthy, whatever. And that's fine as a good backup. You can't have that guy, honestly, like Jitty is. And that's what everybody's upset about, is he's making 6. Well, you're talking about Jake, who you're signing for another year. It only hampers you going into next year. That's a $5 million extension. If you wanted to in the offseason, don't you think Jake would take a 4 years, $20 million, or a 3 years, $15 million contract?
Yes.
That's the issue, is you can pay him $5 million after this season, no matter what he does. He's not going to be good enough where he makes more than $5 million. That's just the God honest truth. And so at that point, I think that number was the issue. If he's making 2.5, 3, I think that extension gets done just like last year. I think that's the reason it got done. It's a number.
I agree. And I think, like, you know what, if he can make a deal where he's making like $3 million a year, I mean, like, if you can get him on a much more team friendly deal, it is now an expiring, which
trade asset.
You can trade the hell out of that. Like, that's between that. And honestly, I think Rusty and I talk about this a lot, between his now being an expiring, you got Marcus, you've got VC, and you've got Luke Kennard. Those deals are all, I'm not saying I'm going to trade all those, but the Grizzlies have done a good bit of bookkeeping to keep, they got stuff that they can move. They are able to wheel and deal, which is nice. One more thing before we take a quick break, which actually we're not even going to take a break. You don't take breaks. We don't have to take breaks. I like it. Let's keep going. Who do you think is going to win the game tomorrow? Simple question. Who do you, I mean, I know it's tough with
Embiid. We lose. If Embiid's not there, I think Edey eats up Andre Drummond. They're both slow-footed. I don't think that helps them at all. Embiid is there. Let's say Embiid plays under 22 minutes. I think the Grizzlies win. I think if he plays 23 or more minutes, the Grizzlies lose. I mean, he's that good.
Yeah, he is that good.
We have nobody to match up with him. Jaren can't. Jaren will do his best. Huff. I love the Huff snuff. I think that's great. I don't think he can compete. And then, obviously BC, there's no way.
No, BC, it's not that I was disappointed, but BC had the best game of the season. I mean, I really like BC. I hope that he continues to play like this, because, I mean, 2 nights ago was the best game he had. He played okay last night. He was 3 of 3 from the field, but you're right, though. We don't have anybody. Like, if Embiid plays, we lose this game, I think.
And that's okay.
That's okay. Like him, he's a top 5. I mean, he's a MVP of the past 3 years. Like, it's fine. It's okay. I do want to talk. I said we were done talking about the Grizzlies before we did our last segment. I don't know what we need. I don't know, shooting. Like shooting. We need shooting, but I don't know, like, where did you go get that from? Where do you get that from? You can
get that from Brooklyn.
You can get the Brooklyn's got. I mean, they're the wing stop. They got a lot of wings up there in Brooklyn. I mean, they got a lot of guys. They just got a lot of guys that could help any team in the league, to be perfectly honest.
Question.
Yeah.
If you could trade 1 for 1, would you trade Marcus Smart for Cam Johnson?
Is the rest of our roster healthy?
Sure, whatever.
Well, I need Vince. I need someone who can play defense. Yes. Are you? I
like the defense. It's great. But you drafted Edey. Supposedly he's all-world defender. Jaren.
How much is Cam making?
DPOY. Jaws seems to be locked in. Dez has picked it up over the years. I'm just saying, how important is that defense that Marcus Smart brings you? I'm just saying.
Well, it's a good point because you got to look at both sides, because the defense that Marcus Smart gives you, has that slack been pulled? Have, like, the guys you just mentioned pick up a little bit of that slack? Because if so,
Yeah.
the defense can falter a little bit, especially if Marcus is going to go 0 for 11. Like
And that's not the norm.
that is not the norm for sure. But that's a very good, yes, I would. Yes,
Well, I was
would.
waiting. Good God. Rusty said it immediately.
I
Yes,
sorry.
you go get Cam Johnson if you do a one-on-one trade, right? Because they're both making roughly the same amount of money. The problem is like, what do you have to give up that's extra than that? Like,
Because I don't think
wouldn't.
they say yes to one-on-one, right? No way.
100%. That's why I thought it was an easy one.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
you need shooting, because if you look at this team, nobody's really shooting well. Like, just I know Jalen Wells shot good early in the season, but Ja hasn't hit much of anything this season at all. Jaren is never going to be a reliable 3-point shooter. He's good, but he's not reliable. Like, he's gonna be able to stretch that. But if you look at our team, like, we're going 8 for 28 on a consistent basis from 3-point. We're not a good 3-point shooting team.
And I would say that's an understatement. I was trying to see who is Santi, our leading 3-point. I'm not counting Jitty. Oh, wow. Jaren is shooting 44% from 3 right now.
Small sample size too, though.
Very small sample. I mean, yeah, it's Santi. We don't have anybody averaging. Dez is the only one that's been averaging over 5 threes a game. And
that's the issue.
Guess what? Shooting equals points in this league. You kind of need it. Yes, gosh. Do you think we make a move? I mean, gun to your head?
Have to.
We have to. I agree.
The Grizzlies have too many assets, and honestly, the Grizzlies fans, they're going to have to come to terms with they're going to get rid of, I would assume, just looking at contracts, you're going to get rid of a BC or a Smart. I would say those are the two main ones that you're looking at that they come off of.
Yes.
Just because their contracts aren't bad and they're still good players and they have the upside. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to come off one of them. They're going to have to come off one of these young players that are on a crazy good contract. Like, the Grizzlies have done a really good job of finding those second rounders, undrafted players. They've done a really good job of that. But do you go ahead and go all in? Who do you go all in for? Because the upside and the project of, let's say, a GG, which I wouldn't get rid of, a project of GG has the potential, and that's what you would have to give up on. You'd have to say, you know what, we'll let you have the potential project because we need to win right now for this type of player. I think that they're going to get off of a guy like that, in my opinion. I don't know who that is, but they're going to have to come off of a guy like that, as well as maybe another Smart if they really want to make a jolt to this lineup.
I agree. I think that Grizzlies fans are going to have to take a big swallow and realize that someone they like is probably going to get traded.
100%.
And that's
unfortunate, but it is.
Unfortunate. It's a business. It's the nature of the business. It's what you got to do. If you want to win a championship, you're not going to have everybody in the building happy at all times. This is not how it works.
Yep.
All right, before we go, I want to talk about the weekend. I mean, this is fun not taking a break. I got used to you. I'm learning from you. The weekend outlook in honor of Sean Connery, which you knew he was dead, right? I'm trying to ruin people's days live because my day was ruined about him being dead. Did you know?
I did. I've watched your show.
Yeah. You're like, Luke, I'm not an idiot. I've seen the episode.
Oh, yeah. I thought about Luke, too. I'm sorry. Luke Kennard as well. I was like, there's another contract there I'm missing out on.
A really good contract.
Yeah. Not you. Not Hatmaker.
I had the same thing too. I was like, is Rusty leaving? What's happening? The weekend outlook. What's going on this weekend? We like to talk on this show what's happening on the weekend because everybody's got a weekend. And it's like the time where we don't work, I think. Some of us have children in the house, and so our weekends are filled with a lot of kid stuff. But still, the weekends are fun. What do you got going on this weekend?
Life on the weekend is always kids, but nobody wants to hear about that. Let's talk some sports and what to watch, what you want to get on the old tube.
The tube.
Tonight is a Boise State team that is playing football. They are a team that the Memphis Tigers fans are looking at. They hope they lose, but they have a big game tonight. Ole Miss, Arkansas plays the Florida, Georgia down there. It's always what is it? The cocktail party. Yes. Sorry. I am a Florida fan. I promise.
I was like, is it in the swamp? Where are they playing?
No, they always play in Jacksonville.
Jacksonville. That's right.
Yep,
That's right.
which is the largest cocktail party, whatever it's called. Kentucky plays Tennessee, Ohio State, Penn State. That's going to be a great game.
Big game.
And then you have the Air Force versus Army, which
is huge.
Sneaky Army
big.
is really good. Oregon plays Michigan. There's a lot of good games. My favorite game is going to be the Indiana game.
And your Hoosiers, man.
Versus Michigan State. I love it. So there's a lot of good college football. And so I know a lot of people around here like that. But then if you go to the NFL, there's always good games in the NFL, just because there's only so many teams you have to looking for, those matchups. But there should be some really good NFL games as well. So that's what I look for. I'm a sports guy. That's what I'm going to look for.
I love it. I don't blame you, man. When we don't have kids, it's like, I just want to see something that's not just, or because we watch kids sports a lot. We're like, I just want to watch actual people play. I don't want to watch these kids kick a soccer ball around. I want to watch actual, the Tigers do play. I don't even know UTSA. What school is that?
Texas, San Antonio.
Okay.
There were comments already about the UTSA coach calling out and saying how much NIL money that the Tigers have, and we can't compete with that. Bro, I'm sorry.
It's the nature of the game, bro.
2, you should be pointing at the Tigers. Like, look at these other teams around the country. I don't think the Tigers are your issue.
That's who's really getting that NIL money? The Memphis Tigers. It's like, what are you talking about?
Maybe the basketball players.
Maybe that.
Football players.
Not football players. Man, the Tigers, I know there's a lot of Memphis fans going to be watching this Tigers game because that one loss is really sticking out on their schedule, especially when the Army Navy teams are looking better and better.
Yeah, Navy plays Rice. Rice is decent. Navy should walk over them, but everybody's looking for that game as well. Like, can Navy somehow slip up against Rice? And at that point, the Tigers have a chance, as well as the Boise State game tonight. Ashton Jeanty has been incredible. The running back, if you have a chance, go watch it tonight. Just for the running back, that's all I care about. Go watch Ashton Jeanty tonight and just tune it up for a few minutes and see the dude is electric. He runs through people. It's awesome.
I second that. The running back is like a dying breed in football. This dude is
not a dying breed.
Not a dying breed, man. And the way he runs, my favorite running back of all time is Walter Payton. He doesn't remind me of Walter of sweetness, but anytime I see a guy that still has moves, it's just like, man, bring it. Running back still a thing. It's still a thing.
100%. And he is going to be the Heisman, especially if he keeps playing like he is.
Yep.
Because as long as Boise State goes undefeated, I think he'll win the Heisman. If they slip up, it could struggle. But Ashton Jeanty is the real deal.
He's a real deal, man. I love, man. College football's great. Sports are great.
It's great.
Love it. It's great.
And then we got the Grizzlies Saturday.
Oh yeah, man.
Forgot Saturday, and then Monday, Grizzlies on one's back. But Monday they play the Brooklyn Nets. We need to go into Zaire's house, take over the trap.
Have we seen King Meek since he wrestled Zaire?
No, pretty sweaty, I heard.
That's going to do it for our show today to end on real sweaty. Thank you for tuning in, y'all. Thank you. Everybody in the comments, I think it might have just been Rusty, but thank you for hanging out, Rusty. Everybody watching, we really appreciate it. I love getting up, spending my mornings talking hoops, talking everything. I hope you guys do too. Have a good weekend. Have good days at work. If I can leave you with anything today, anything at all, remember these 2 little things. Remember to be a little weird and remember to smile. Bye, guys. I will see everybody on Monday.